So we regularly say that Itasca is a verb, not a noun. And that's really a way of saying that we're about doing, that Itasca exists to do, to get things done.
The idea and the notion came up about how we could lean in to make development easier in our communities. And I can remember the CEOs being very quiet and not saying much, but just actively listening to the community leaders, going away and coming back to say, I don't know what I can do to help, but here are the resources that I have to get things done.
When I chaired Itasca, one of the things that I learned really fast was oftentimes people just needed to be asked. Nobody wants to put themselves forward and say, I think I know more about University of Minnesota research than anyone else in the business community. They just needed somebody to say, would you step up to this? Would you be engaged in this? And I had so much conviction around Itasca, it was easy to ask, and people say yes.
The first time we ever created a task force, it was called Creating a Front Door to the University. How do we help make all the incredible intellectual assets of the university available to many people around the region? And that was led by the president of the university, Bob Brunix, and the CEO of 3M, Jim McNerney at the time. And that was an example of two people who hadn't necessarily worked together at all, coming together around a common objective, and they really engaged. I mean, they were editing slides the night before the presentation to make sure that they together had a story that was exciting for all of us in the region.
Our relatively new CEO of General Mills at that time, Ken Powell, was excited to join the Itasca Project. And he was asked, along with Marilyn Carlson Nelson, CEO of Carlson at that time, to co-chair a job growth task force. And Ken, being a new CEO, very excited, intellectually curious, as most CEOs are, his time needed to be spending leading the task force. As so many of our major companies at that time, they give resources to this region. Some of it is financial, and in this case, it was human resource. And I was the lucky person that was asked to say, do you want to come along on this journey?
Part of the idea of Itasca not being a noun was that we didn't have staff. We didn't build up a group of people in the traditional way you would around an organization, which sort of then led to this idea of loaned executives running Itasca. And as the loaned person from McKinsey, I was sort of the center of that loaned universe. But we had other folks, over time who stepped in from companies to pick up bits of the work and make it go for their period of time, and actually in really pretty wonderfully generous ways.
That support coming from McKinsey like that was a huge part of making it work. They took that pressure off of these other folks, make sure it ran smoothly, and make sure all these leaders had what they needed. That was kind of the formula of how that worked, and I think it worked well.
When I think about what are the hallmarks of the Itasca approach, a couple of things come to mind. The first is everybody sets aside their ego, their agenda. What we're focused on is what's best for the region. And then the second thing we do is we lead with the facts.
One of the great things they did was they had data. They had information that allowed us to develop a plan going forward.
You can't make change if you don't have real data. And one of the great things about Itasca is people were mission-driven and fact-based, and that's what helps to make a change.
The issue of cooperation and collaboration is at the bedrock of an organization like Itasca. Many, many other organizations are well-meaning, they have great causes, but they tend to operate as silos. And I think the critical aspect of Itasca has been able to bring all the elements of a community together to have impact. And we learn from each other.
A lot of people are thinking about these big issues, but we're doing it in siloed ways. And we're trying to figure out exactly how we or our institution or our industry can begin to work on and tackle some of the biggest disparities or inequities or largest challenges that we face. And when you bring those folks together, that's where the magic can start to happen.
The opportunity to, again, talk with individuals from different industries. It doesn't matter what industry you are. It doesn't matter what size of business you are. It is being a leader interested in the topic, recognizing the importance of this, and recognizing that the broader impact of all of us finding success, supporting each other, holding each other accountable of the work is really what the state of Minnesota needs overall. How do we drive the broader success of our communities, the collective effort of each of our individual organizations focused on this?
One of the great things about Itasca was it broke down that false barrier between here's the government and here's the business and neither the twain shall meet. It was mayors, it was county commissioners, it was CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, breaking those barriers down, getting to know each other. It started establishing those relationships. And relationships are the key to any situation that you're going to find yourself in. Too often there was this split between, that's government's problem, this is business's problem, and Itasca brought us together to say, no, this is our problem.
We recognize that if we get the right people around the table often enough with the right framing and the right spirit, we can change what it means to live here. We can really create an even better Minnesota.
And that if we don't like the way that things are playing out, resources that we have access to or don't, that we have the power to change those things.
Itasca, I think, at its core is a declaration of relationship and accountability by the people who participate in it, and in some larger respects, as an example, as a benchmark for what we learned and what we want to pass on to future generations. And that relationship and accountability has to do with the different aspects, the different corners of our society, knowing one another, working together with one another, and making sure that our community had the basis for growth and success for everybody in the generations to come.